Hey everybody, what's going on? Dace here and welcome back. Hamster has banged out yet another title I was interested in checking out and sharing with you, so today we'll be taking a look at Arcade Archive's latest edition, Super Dimension Fortress MACROSS. In this video we'll cover some of the development history, gameplay basics, what stands out to me, and lastly a few gameplay and score related tips for those interested. SDFM is a vertically scrolling arcade shooter from 1992. The game was developed by Nihon Maicom Kaihatsu, more widely known as NMK. While NMK has been defunct since 1999, they developed a pile of solid titles during their years active, and quite a few shoot-em-ups along the way, including but not limited to Thunder Dragon 1 and 2, Z-Blade, Saint Dragon, Task Force Harrier, P-47, The Phantom Fighter, Argus, and Gunnail, easily one of my all-time favorite retro shooters. The game was initially published by Bon Presto, a subsidiary of Bandai which mostly focused on anime-licensed games, but SDFM would later receive a North American release by Fabtech and a release in Australia by Leisure and Allied Industries. In addition to SDFM being the Macross franchise's first arcade entry, the game was also based on a 1984 anime movie called Macross: Do You Remember Love? We seldom see shooters that have ties to other things, and because of that, SDFM's connection to the Macross franchise is interesting. Macross is pretty huge in Japan. There's manga, TV series, OVA, movies, novels, games, you name it, and yet we have this 1992 shmup. In ways, it feels like a bit of a curiosity, and there aren't too many shmups that I know of so far that have that kind of feeling. It's almost as though SDFM holds this extra charge because we know it's linked to this external sphere of things that have nothing to do with shmups, yet there was that inspiration to take a Macross experience or story and funnel it into an arcade shooter framework in the early 90s. It's fascinating and gets me thinking, like, why don't we have a Tenchi Muyo shooter with some of the cool spaceships, or even if we just play it as the characters themselves, there could be some neat things done in that direction. But let's get into the actual gameplay. The full run plays out over 7 stages, and as you progress you'll encounter tons of enemy mechs, space vessels, missiles, and ice chunks, to name a few things. You pilot the FV-1 Valkyrie. FV stands for Variable Fighter because there are 4 different forms your craft can take depending on which transformation item you grab, and these are extremely abundant throughout the run. There's the Fighter form, which comes equipped with a Vulcan cannon that fires a fan-like shot. This is the default state and what you revert to if losing a life. Grabbing a power-up item will increase the attack power and bullet count. The Batroid form fires shots straight ahead and launches tracking missiles. This gives you pretty solid coverage, though like many homing-style ships and shooters, you can tell the power level sits behind other attack types. That said, if you power this up, it increases the number of missiles fired. Next there's the Gerwak form. This fires shots straight and includes an enemy-piercing laser which becomes wider as you power it up. As you'd expect, this is a very powerful option as it's ideal for speed-killing enemies. Lastly, we have the Armored Valkyrie, which offers a fan-like attack with powerful explosives that fire straight ahead. You can't power up while in this form, and all transformation items will only give you bonus points, but what's really cool is that you can survive a single hit. So on top of the weapon combo, this form essentially serves as a one-hit shield. After taking a hit, you'll automatically transform into the Batroid form at full power. This is useful information because you can work it into your routing to a certain degree. It also allows you to be more daring when you know you can afford one hit before using a bomb or losing a life. The bombs in SDFM are referred to as the reaction weapon. You can hold up to 8 and they damage all enemies on the screen. You do see quite a few of these, so you don't have to hang on to them. There are no score extends, but you can grab a 1-up mid-run. It's important to note that player 2's ship is a little faster than player 1's. As for scoring, there are tiny medals you can find that increase in value. The first is worth 100 points, and these max out at 10,000 points. It does not reset if you miss one, but will if you lose a life. Furthermore, there are 2 secret items. The first is the Min Mei doll, worth 50,000 points, and the second is Tuna Head, worth 100,000 points. You can discover both of these by shooting specific areas on the screen. If playing for score, you'll want to find and collect as many of these as possible, in addition to the general scoring you'll do during the run. To wrap things up, SDFM is a fun shooter to jump into that dishes out a nice challenge. It has some cool backgrounds, visuals, neat music, and great sound effects. I like the idea of having one craft that can take on different forms. It's essentially just a weapon change system like we see in other games, but it's an interesting way to add more theme even if there isn't much additional substance. And what I mean by substance is that we don't see a difference in movement speed, or at least from what I can tell, from one form to the next, or things like the different bomb functions or animations spanning the transformations, which I think would have been a nice touch. It would have added a little more personality to each form, but for what it is, it's a cool way to express a typical weapon change system in this mech-filled universe and franchise that SDFM became a part of. The Armored Valkyrie's benefit of granting you a free hit is a great bonus, and that's actually one area where the weapon change system does start breaking out of the shell a little bit. Either way, it's awesome to see things like this added to the Arcade Archives family, and in the near future I want to do a short video touching on why Hamster's efforts are not only important, but worth supporting, even if that's just picking up a few games here and there. I also recently heard they're releasing Super Dimension Fortress MACROSS 2, and if that's true, that's another one I will definitely purchase and cover on the channel. If you're interested in getting SDFM on Switch, I purchased my copy on the Japanese eShop and have been checking daily to see if it's landed on the North American one, since I'd imagine that's where most people will try getting it, but still nothing. So I'm wondering if this is a Japan-only Arcade Archives release. If it is, I did a guide video some years back on how to easily set up a JP Switch account and order yen cards from PlayAsia for those unsure how to access some of the Japanese exclusive shmups. But anyway, that's enough from me. Let me know if you're aiming to pick this up and what you think of it when you have a chance to jump in. Or if you played it in the past, I'd love to hear about your experience with the game. Have a stellar one, everybody, and we'll see you next time.